Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services, if we can please kindly turn off all cell phones or electronic devices, or please place them on silent. Thank you.
Adonai Maradam Vatiderechu Ben Enosh Vachashverechu Adam le'avel dama Yamav kitzel over Baboker yatzitz v'chalav lo'erev the moleh v'yovish tashev enosh Adaka vatomer shuvu v'nei Adam. We gather today with all our hearts, souls, and minds to remember Marsha. Mom, Grammy. We gather with the knowledge that she is on her way in all God's speed to be with those to her eternal resting place, all those who have gone before her in a reunification of love. We gather with the knowledge also that in Judaism, someone never really dies. Their successes and achievements, their talents, their likes are passed down from generation to generation. We gather with the knowledge that in Judaism it is certainly a custom to name boys and girls who are just born after those that we cherish with all our hearts, so I can certainly foresee in your homes in years to come, or maybe not so many years, little boys and girls, well, specifically girls, little Marshas running around, and those little girls will be taught that they are named after someone so very, very special that we gather with all our love today. Who among us here has not passed through our own trials and bereavements? Some of us bear fresh wounds in our own hearts and therefore feel more keenly the kinship of sorrow with those who love and will always love Marsha the most. Others of us whose mourning is a little more remote still recall when a silent hug, a kiss, a word brought comfort to our sorrowing hearts. All things pass, all that lives must die, all that we prize is but lent to us. We are travelers on the same road that leads to the same end. So as King David wrote over 3,000 years ago in the 23rd Psalm, that God will walk us through the valley of the shadow of death, King David never wrote that God will leave us there. So one day, when your days of mourning are more remote for Mom, for Grammy, for Marsha, on that day that morning you shall wake up, and what will be left in your hearts are simply the joy-filled and the happy memories, and those will be the stories and the anecdotes that you will pass down, what we call the door va door, from generation to generation. And on that day, you will know that King David's dream had come true, that God had walked you through the valley of the shadow of death into a time of joy in remembering of Marsha. So if you know the traditional words of the 23rd Psalm, we say them out loud together with all our hearts. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in his name path. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The highest compliment that you can ever call a Jewish woman is an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. And from learning about Marsha and reading about Marsha and speaking with her beloved family, certainly Eshet Chayil is the very definition of Marsha. So on her behalf, I would love to read a little poem called Woman of Valor, Eshet Chayil, a good wife. A good wife who can find her. She is worth far more than rubies. She brings good and not harm all the days of her life. She girds herself with strength and finds her trades profitable. Wise counsel is always on her tongue, and her home never suffers for warmth. She stretches her arms to the poor and reaches out to the needy. All her friends praise her, and her family blesses her. She is known at the gates as she sits with the elders. Dignity, honor are her garb. She smiles at the future. And on that we all say, Amen. It is my honor to begin words of love with her husband, Carl.
When I used to talk to Marsha about what would happen when we die, she said to me, if I die, just don't have any service because nobody's going to come to my funeral. And I look over today and see all your faces, and it's wonderful that you're all here. Many to honor Scott, and many to honor Marsha, and many to honor both Scott and Marsha and me. And I do appreciate that all of you have come out to this service, and I wish Marsha could see it. Maybe she can. But I do want to thank you for coming. I first met Marsha when she was 15 years old, and it was at a dance from the Oxford Circle Jewish Community Center. I think it's now a Muslim mosque, if I'm not mistaken. She was 15 and I was 16, so I was a lot more mature. Her plan was, she was with a boy that liked her, and her plan was to introduce me to one of her girlfriends, fix me up with one of her girlfriends. But we started talking to one another. We were laughing and joking, and we were dancing together. And as the night wore on, I began to realize I really liked this girl. And I thought she liked me too. I didn't know it, but it was kind of the spark of a love story that was going to last the rest of our life, starting at age 15. It's kind of incredible. In many ways, it's a fairy tale romance, but that's really what happened. She told me that when she got home that night, she wrote something in her diary, and she said, it said, "Don't let him get away." That's what she wrote in her diary. And I didn't want to get away. So from the time Marsha was 16 until the end, I was by her side. And we were together. We had a wonderful romance, wonderful marriage. It was really a fairy tale situation. When I think about all the years we had together, I was trying to figure out what were the times where she was most happy, had the most joy in her life. And I think it was the times that we had little children around us. When our children were young, when we moved into our house in Cherry Hill with Mimi and Scott, and they started in their schoolwork, and we watched them grow. And we had to wait a while, but then our grandchildren arrived, and we had Jordan, Madison, and then we had to wait over 10 years before Tyler arrived. But he came, and it was worth the wait. It really was. But I think that the times that we had our grandchildren, the times that we had our own children, and we were watching them grow, that's when Marsha was most happy and where she had the most joy in her life. Marsha really didn't understand the effect that she had on people. She was beautiful, and she had a sparkling personality. And when people met her, they remembered her. People who only met her one time would remember her. I had people come up in the community where we live. I didn't know who they were. I didn't recognize them. And they would ask me, "How's your beautiful wife?" And they may have only seen her one time, but she really did have an impact on people. But she had insecurities, probably from her very early childhood, but I tried to tell her many times, people really like you. People really love you. And I tried to get through to her that this was the way it was. And I hope she believed me. And I hope she realized that that was the truth, even though she did have these insecurities. But I know there was one thing that she was very secure about. And that was the fact that she knew that I loved her. And she knew that I was going to love her for our entire life. And I don't think she ever had any doubts about that. And I think that was a big comfort. We knew we'd be together. We knew we'd be loving each other, whatever happened in life. And that was important. There were times we had some arguments, some disagreements. But whenever they got too tense, Marsha would usually come up to me and she would say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." And this made it really hard for me because then I had to say I'm sorry, even though I felt I was always right. But I did learn that I wasn't always right and that I was wrong many times. And it was easy to say I'm sorry to Marsha. And we very rarely went to bed angry with each other. We hated to be angry with each other. One thing that you might not realize about Marsha was that she said her prayers every night. And she prayed to God that God would look out for all the people that she loved. And she told me she thought she had a connection to God, that he liked her, that he knew who she was, and that he listened to her prayers. And I think that was wonderful that she felt that way, and it was a comfort to her. When we got to be a little older, like 80, we started talking about the fact that we may not have that many years left in our life. And she said she was terrified that I was going to die first and she would be left alone. And she said, please take care of yourself. I want you to live longer than me. I want to be the first. And as it turns out, she was the first. I wish she had some more years to go. I don't think it was her time. But I didn't leave her alone, and I guess that's a bit of a comfort because that was a big fear of hers. I have some words that I can picture that Marsha would say to me if she was here. Remember me. Remember me in your heart, your thoughts and memories of the times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, the times we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will never have gone. And I can assure her, my darling, that I do think of you every day, and I will think of you every day of my life, and that you will never have gone from me. And may you rest in peace, and I hope that the God you prayed to has his arms around you and is taking care of you. Oh, thank you.
Marsha's daughter wanted me to share the words that her mom was her very best friend, and she has lost her very best friend, but Mom will always be your best friend. If you had the honor of knowing Marsha, she went by many names of love according to your relationship with her, a family name, a silly name, a nickname. When we say the words, we will remember. Say the name that out loud that Marsha was known to you as in this life and will always be known to you when you have the privilege of thinking and dreaming about her. Say that name out loud in the rising of the sun and at its going down. We will remember. When the winter turns into the renewal of spring, we will remember. When the spring turns into the warmth of summer, we will remember. In the beginning of the year, and when it ends, we will remember. So long as we live, she too will live, for she is now a part of us, as we will always remember. Scott.
Haven't had much practice at this. My mom liked her tea and coffee super hot. I used to call it lava hot. She hated the wind, and she was not a fan of the cold. She loved books, reading, and chocolate-covered pretzels. She loved her grandchildren, and when each of them was born, it was like an infusion of hope and love. It was the most potent antidepressant there was. My mother shaped my empathy and my sentimental nature. She seemed so fragile at times, yet she was very strong in her sudden final days. My mother was very private. She battled anxiety, which I often thought was misrepresented by friends and family. She was glamorous and beautiful and always dressed and ready for the red carpet. Her skin was flawless and smooth right up till age 84. And my mother's bond with my father was one for the ages. And they met when they were 15 and married for 64 years. When my mother was in her final hours, she would hear my father's voice and open up her eyes, and she would try to talk to him, and eventually a whispered, "I love you," could be heard. My mother pushed me at an early age to sing and perform. And I guess she's the reason why I sing today. I spent the last days with her singing all kinds of songs, my songs, Johnny Mathis songs, spiritual songs, a few Bob Dylan songs. I once wrote a song called Fragile for my mom, and she listened to it and she said, "Well, this could be about you." But the truth is, the song really could be about everyone, because we're all fragile in our own ways. So before I conclude, I want to try or attempt to sing a verse of the song Fragile, and I do not enjoy singing a cappella. I can't think of a more appropriate time to try to pull that off. But just a snippet of that song, Fragile. Just give me a second here. I can see your heart, I can see your soul, I can see your wounds, purple and gold. I can see your tears before they foam, and I can see the hurt before it's born. When did you become so fragile? When did you become so paper thin? When did you become so fragile to know and feel everything? To know and feel everything. To know and feel everything. That's the last time for you. Thank you.
If you are able to, we rise for the prayer of our departed, the Emelei Rachamim. אמרי רחמים שוכן במרומים המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה עם קדושים מתרים גזרה רקיע מזהירים את נשמת Marsha, Bat, Audrey, and Michael. Shalach le'olama barachamim yasireya b'seitzer k'nafav le'olamim Bitra Hachaim and Nishmata Adonai Lachalata Vitanu Ach Bishalom al mishkava v'no more. Amen. Once again, in the space provided, please say the name out loud that Marsha will forever be known to you as compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe. Grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to who has entered eternity, O God of mercy. Let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bonds of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. You may be seated. The family has requested for those who would like to give from your hearts in the name of Marsha to give to the charity of your choice in her name. And that certainly is a way of keeping her memory and her life alive from generation to generation. When I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around others and give them what you need to give me. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and souls touch souls. You can love me most by sharing your simchas and multiplying your mitzvot. You can love me most by letting me live in your deeds and not on your mind. And when you say Kaddish for me, remember what our tradition teaches. Love doesn't die, only people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. We rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah bi'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imeru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach Le'olam Ulalmei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitroma v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shemei dekudasha brechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'imaru amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imaru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'miromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imaru. And may the cherished memory of Mom, Marsha, Grammy, always be a blessing to all of us. You may be seated. you.